Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome, of course, to the Mara Triangle for this, the final instalment of the September Mara Spectacular with Safari Live. My name is James Hendry, in case you didn't know. On camera today, Jeandre. He's not going to show you his grubby thumb because it is under... Oh, it is. Look at that.
I washed it.
He washed it. Very nice. He's about to wash it again, of course, in the rain. As you can see, it is coming in from the eastern side of this magnificent reserve. In fact, it is already falling in the southeast, it would seem. This is unaffected, or it has not affected the zebra and the wildebeest over here. And we've just stopped at this point so that we could give you a bit of a view of the great diversity, the scenery, the rain coming in, and to tell you that there haven't been any crossings today that we've managed to find. We've been to the main points that we went to yesterday, where we saw all that astounding action. And then off to this side is the last crossing point we're going to go and have a look at, and we'll see what happens there. Then the lions. We've had some interesting lion stuff going on during the course of the day. We found two new lions we haven't seen before. They seem to be quite interested in hunting fairly soon, so with any luck we'll follow them at night. I think that's going to be our best bet. The Kichwa Tembo Pride, who we saw yesterday, fast asleep. They still seem to be fast asleep and most satiated. And then we met a new 7 lions recently. They were off sort of underneath where it's just started to rain over there, and they are not doing very much at all because they, like most of the other cats in this area, have eaten themselves into a Sunday lunch stupor, even though it's Saturday. It is Saturday, isn't it? Yes, it is indeed. Then we've got some buffalo off to the right-hand side of where you're now looking. But mostly, before we go and look at the buffalo, we're going to show you Graham Wallington's very favourite animal. That is the topi. There is one topi in front of us there. Well, it was. It is now behind a large vehicle. Oh, well, that is disappointing. Oh, Graham, there it is, go. Super zoom that topi, Jeandre. There it is. Oh, look at that. I think these things are amazing. And there are subspecies of the sesame, which we do find in the Kruger from time to time. Lots of them in the Okavango in Botswana. The sesame, that is. And the topi up here, very fascinating, mainly because nobody really understands its social structure. It's apparently got one of the most variable social structure of all the antelope species. Sometimes a harem situation, sometimes they move in great herds, sometimes with the migration, often they're resident here. It's really rather fascinating. So I'd like to spend some more time with topi. Unfortunately, Graham Wallington, who of course, as you all know, is responsible for my employment, he thinks topi are, well, not quite as exciting as some of the other things that we have on offer here in the Mara Triangle. And as he's sitting in the back of the car, well, we must just do what he says. Joey, you want to see an eland, and you say, is this the last opportunity? Well, it might be the last opportunity for this particular time, but we've actually got an eland in front of us, spotted very kindly by Tyler, who is the general manager of Angama Mara, where we're staying, quite possibly the most beautiful lodge in the world. I cannot see the eland, however. Tyler is an American, so his eyes are better designed than mine, I think.
Straight up the road.
Straight up the road. Ah, got it on the ridge there. There you go, Joey. There's an eland, courtesy of Tyler. Isn't that lovely? Now, they inhabit the ecotone regions. That's why you see it there. An ecotone, the sort of gap, if you like, between, or the place where two vegetation types meet. So they're like the woodland, where it moves into the grassland. And you will see them, obviously, moving across the grasslands. But those eland are sitting in the ecotone. Aren't they gorgeous? Thanks for that, Joey. That is the continent's biggest antelope. I think the Lord Derby's, which you can find in Queen Elizabeth Park in Uganda, is slightly bigger than this one. And that's, I think it's just a subspecies of this eland. Aren't they lovely? Eland, I suppose, is what I should be saying. Eland is the Afrikaans pronunciation. I got shouted at that by Mr. Graham Wallington yesterday evening. Lest I be hauled in front of a disciplinary commission, I better say it correctly. Eland. And the big bull weighs up to 750 kilograms, which is around about 1,800 pounds, which of course is many pounds in anyone's language. Now, let us drive a little bit, Jeandre. Is that okay with you?
Quite so.
He says quite so. It's very nice that he's actually speaking today. Sometimes he doesn't speak at all. Well, I mean, look, when we're not live, that's a benefit. But when we're live, it's nice to hear from him every so often. Not too much, though. Okay, you can see that it is still an absolutely beautiful landscape just because it is in East Africa and because everywhere you look, it's stunning. Sandy, you want to know if we've seen the baby Thompson's gazelle that we saw crossing the river yesterday, today. No, not as far as I know, Sandy. I just need to give you an idea, Sandy. My camera is on the roof. Thank you very much for that, Rebecca. What an idiot. Not Rebecca, me, I mean. So, right, let's just go with this again. Sandy, the area we're driving is so vast. It's so much bigger. It's the size of the entire Sabi Sand. So for us to find the individual Thompson's gazelle fawn or lamb that came out of the river yesterday would be almost impossible. This was the area, though, that it was in. But I think, Sandy, that it either joined up with a herd and is fine, or it has been devoured by a predator during the night. It would be very difficult to say, even if we saw one the same size, whether or not it was the same one. There are the eland, Joey in Australia. There's a lovely view of them for you, sitting on this rocky knoll where there's some trees. You can see them browsing there. So they're quite adept mixed feeders, are the eland. Clearly able to browse and graze. They look to be in, well, relatively good nick. That one looks a little bit skinny, a bit hippie. But they are stunning. And quite adaptable, you know. They live in this area, which is fairly well watered. You can find them all the way into the Kalahari in southern Africa, which is, well, it is a desert, semi-desert to desert. And they survive there very well. This is our first proper eland sighting. Very nice. Okay, let's move on. There's just a little, the crossing is just down the way here, and we'll just have a quick look at it and see if we can't find some of those gormless crocodiles. While we drive along here, let me show you some of my impressions of the crocodilians here. It is my firm impression that a crocodile is one of nature's most dim-witted creatures, having seen what they do during the course of the day. Yesterday we watched one raised its head out of the water. Before any animals had got into the water, there were wildebeest and zebra massing to come across the river, and this idiot stuck his head out of the water and they all ran away, and then crossed unscathed at another crossing point. Then the day before that, we watched a crocodile lying exactly where I'm going to take you now, also in front of a herd of wildebeest on the sand with his mouth open facing him, as if to say to his lunch, please run into my mouth. Needless to say, not even the wildebeest, which is supposedly renowned as one of the most gormless creatures in Africa, not even the wildebeest would fall for a trick like that. It is a little bit rattly, I apologize for that. Like I've said before, the vehicle we're driving is, well, it makes Wendy, Rusty and Jigger look like utterly youthful and wonderful animals. Right, we're just going to quickly pop down to this crossing here, and if there's nothing, well, if there's something there, we'll come back to you. If there isn't, we'll find something else. So let's head across back to the Nkahuma Pride with Jamie Patterson, and we'll catch up with you shortly. Now, everybody, what you can hear is the pitter-patter of African rain just before the storm really does a dump on us. But while we're watching this, that is a defacer waterbuck that you're looking at. You can see its bottom is fully white as opposed to just circularly white like the ones back home in the Sabi Sand. Very nice. The youngsters, as Jeandre pans off to the left and then zooms in, there they are. Much like the waterbuck we get at home, look like little donkeys. And this is the same species, it's a different subspecies. Isn't that a gorgeous scene? I know it's a bit rainy, but it is still very pretty indeed. I might have to take a picture with this enormous cannon I have here. Cannon, I mean, as in weapon. Now, I took two, you will have heard. As you come back towards this swampy area, there's a very large goose. Can you see the goose, Jeandre? That's him. That is a spur-wing goose, everybody, and as far as I'm aware, Africa's largest goose. He probably stands, I don't know, if you were to stretch him out, if he was to stretch his neck forward, I reckon he's almost 4 feet long. Then, also in this area, as Jeandre zooms out a little and then pans to the left, we have a sacred ibis, which is normally a sort of aquatic animal eater. There it's eating, probably looking for frogs and things. And yesterday, however, the sacred ibis that we found was stealing bits of wildebeest from a crocodile. It was a very brave sacred ibis, of course. I think they're magnificent birds. I'm sad we don't see more of them at home. Then, Jeandre, if you didn't mind coming back to the right-hand side, you can see some jacanas. Just keep going right past the goose and zooming in over round about there. You should see a jacana or two there. Middle of the screen you've got a jacana. That's the same version that you see knocking about on Arethusa Dam when there's water in it. A lily trotter with its very long toes. You can see how long the toes are there actually. And then there's also a pied kingfisher hovering. Look at that. With the most perfect scenery behind. Stay there, bird. I'm going to take a picture of you. Oh, I got it, everyone. Should be quite fun. How cool is that? Jeandre, that's beautifully done. Well done. That is very cool indeed. And there he sits on the edge of a little branch. Then I did see what I thought was a pygmy kingfisher, but it may have been a malachite, but I think it was pygmy. The only reason I'm a bit confused, there it is. It is a malachite, actually. Is it? I've lost my mind. Let me get my bird app out. Jeandre, well, you stay there on that one. We know that's pied. Can't mistake that. It's black and white. It's malachite. I'm getting confirmation from the ornithologist / general manager of Angama that it is a malachite kingfisher. Now, Jeandre, where it is basically if you pull out from the pied and go into the middle of the swamp, there is a small group of sort of reedy-like sticks sticking out to the left. Zoom in to the right of the goose. There. Zoom in slowly there and I'll direct you. I think those might be the very sticks. Yep, keep going in there. No, they're not the right sticks. Go right a bit. At that level. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. No, I think you've gone too far. Sorry, everybody, this is quite difficult to try and find because I'm sat in the car. Okay, you see the jacana, Jeandre? Yeah. Just to the right of the jacana, there, and further to the back of the swamp, there's a little thing of sticks. Okay, to the left. We've got him now. Keep going to the left. Tyler's spotted him. There he is. You got him. Beastly bird. Right, malachite kingfisher. That's very nice. And a rather splendid scene. And let's zoom all the way out, if you don't mind, and we'll give you an idea of exactly where we are. There's the Olulolo escarpment that I have to sort of pause before saying every time. Absolutely astounding picture we have here. Isn't that gorgeous? And there the rain falling in the south and the east. Kathy, you want to know what an escarpment is? I've always just known it as a sort of mountain range or rising that goes up to a plateau. So this goes on to a plateau that slopes gently down towards Lake Victoria, as far as I'm aware. But we'd call the Drakensberg that you can see from the Sabi Sand an escarpment. And basically it's the rising of land once you move away from the coastal plain up onto a plateau. That's, as far as I can understand it, what an escarpment is. Thank you for that question, Kathy. Mostly, of course, because I haven't thought about how to define it for so very long. What an astoundingly gorgeous scene, yet another one. It's very difficult to find anything in this place that you want to look at that you don't think, I don't think that's very nice. Except, of course, in the case of Mr. Wallington when he sees a topee. Gorgeous stuff. Righty, well, I think we'll press on from here. We're going to head towards those lions. The earlier lions that we saw, everyone, apparently may or may not, it's very difficult to tell, may or may not have killed a zebra. We're hoping that the zebra was not killed by them and that they're not going to eat it and that they're going to kill another one. Not because we don't like zebras, but because we'd quite like to catch them killing live, because that is, after all, one of the major reasons that we came to this area. That is the sacred ibis. Hello, cat in Tampa. You say that the sacred ibis makes 100 birds for you, and you want to know if you're allowed to combine your Sabi sand and Mara bird list together. Cat, you can absolutely. I give you full permission to do that. Well, it's all on the African continent, and if you were a worldwide birder, then you'd have a life list that consisted of all the birds you'd ever seen. So you can have a safari live bird list, and when we're eventually watching hyacinth macaws streaming overhead around the jungles and clearings of South America, well, then you can include those too. Of course, that's if we can get Mr. Wallington to stop at the hyacinth macaw and to not move on towards the jaguars. The smell of rain is in the air, everybody, and I don't know if you've ever been around, I'm sure most of you have been around a swampy area like this. I think that they just smell lovely. They smell very fertile. A slight, I suppose, fishy whiff in the air, but that's quite pleasant out here. The soft pitter-patter of rain slowly drenches Jeandre, who he has put on his raincoat. That's very unusual. That's very good. Now, James Richard, you're wondering if those Defasa waterbuck smell the same as the ones we get back home. I've driven past quite a few of them, I've got to tell you, and I don't remember smelling that very nice sort of peaty, musty smell. So I don't know. I wonder. Alrighty, Jeandre, let us press on from here. I have got the roof back on, everyone. It is raining, so you will be unable to see me. There you are. I'm just under that. I'll knock on it for you. There you are. That's me greeting you. Hello, Raccoon. You want to know if Graham is holding the umbrella again. Graham is holding the umbrella. This is the, well, I mean, it's the quintessential sort of definition, if you like, there he is, of the servant leader. Graham spotted a heron. The fact that he has decided to stop for it means that he's probably very sick. Is it a Goliath? It's a Goliath heron, everyone. Say when, Jeandre. Okay. Gosh, that is magnificent. That is the Goliath heron, everyone. The largest, unsurprisingly, with a name like that, of the heron species. Certainly the ones we get here. I don't know if there are any bigger ones in North America, are there? Not this big. This is the biggest. And he's very patiently, well, shaking water off his feathers. Look how he's able to close them back onto his body. Isn't that amazing? And very patiently trawling for fish. I'm sure he'd take frogs very happily as well. Now, when I say he's big, obviously it's very difficult for you to tell from where you're looking now. I think he's probably from the tip of his toes, if you were to stretch his neck and his beak out, not far shy of 5.5 feet tall. He might even be slightly taller than that. No, let's call him 5.5 if you stretched him out. Good. That was a very nice spot. I'm just having another quick look through the window here. There, well, you can see Jeandre's technical efforts at attaching the infrared lights. Well done, Jeandre. Beautiful work there. You can see Jeandre very neat. I hope that VM Doornbruck doesn't see that. Let's head across to Jamie Patterson. She is still sitting with the Nkahuma Pride in their little cubbies. Please give them my very best regards. It is a rather interesting situation. We started off this afternoon, not with you, but we came past this area and found these 2 lions over here. And the 2 lions were sort of in the right place wind-wise for a herd of zebra. And we thought they might kill, we thought they might not. We heard of other lions, so we left them. And in the interim, what they did was kill that young zebra, disembowel it, seemingly, and then they came and lay here, which is somewhat worse, about 100 meters or 330 feet from where they killed it. And it's very strange indeed. We're not really sure why. They don't look very full to me. If we look at if we can go back to the lions there, Jeandre. That lioness does not look well satiated to me. So, fascinating. I just think that they are all perhaps not very, that none of them are particularly hungry, and so maybe they'll go back to it and feed later. Maybe they'll kill one of the wildebeest in the background there a bit later. That's possible. But what's also interesting, of course, is that the cousins and brothers and perhaps even parents of that zebra are still grazing behind it. So it's all rather odd. We're learning every single day that we're here, the strange things that go on in the Mara Triangle, how they differ from the things that happen on Cheetah Plains, for example. And thankfully the rain has stayed away from us so far. But I'm not sure how long that situation is going to persist. Now, we're looking at 1 or 2 dead zebras here, and James Richard, you're wondering about the mass of these zebras. You say you have read that they are smaller than the Birchall zebra that we get at home. This is the Grant's zebra, everybody. It's the same species, it's a different subspecies from the Birchalls that we get in the Sabi Sand. I would say it is noticeable that they're smaller. I'm not sure exactly what the mass difference is. I would say probably about 5 to 10% if I was to guess, but I will check it up for you if you like. Yeah, probably about 10%. They're slightly smaller. The most noticeable thing for me about them is A, that they don't have any shadow stripes, so those are the stripes between the black and white, which of course the Birchalls down in South Africa do. They've got a sort of grey-brown stripe between the black and white bits. And also, they've got a very distinctively rounded nose. Now, I used to ride horses, and, well, I still do sometimes, but we used to describe a horse like that as having a Roman nose, a kind of bulge just at the bottom. And that's what these chaps look like. They look like they've got a kind of Roman nose, as opposed to the much straighter skull and straighter forehead of the Birchall zebra. If I was to choose one from the other, I would say that I thought the Birchall zebra from home was maybe a slightly more handsome animal than this Grant's zebra. But they are both very splendid, and they are, like I say, part of the same species. Just look at that. I mean, where on earth can you see a view like that other than here in the Mara Triangle? Obviously a little bit macabre with the recently deceased zebra in the bottom left-hand corner. Especially as it seems to be slightly wasted. But something will come and eat that, everybody, be it vultures or hyenas, those scavenging male lions from around this area. I'm not surprised they look full the whole time. These females kill. It's almost like they've kind of left supper on the table for the males and then gone off. Gone off on a girls' night out, made supper for their husbands. They're not very empowered. Jeandre, you say, is it possibly too hot for them to eat right now? No, Jeandre, it's not hot at all. It's probably about 20, well, with the wind chill, probably about 20 degrees Celsius, which is, give me 1 second, I'll work it out for you, around about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. You can see blood on her muzzle there. You know, normally if a lion has had to expend an enormous amount of effort killing something, and they're too tired or too hot to eat, they'll lie next to the kill. They won't leave it and come down here. I tell you what I think may have happened here. There was a herd of buffalo around here, and I don't think there are any of them around here now. And I think possibly the buffalo got wind. Yeah, the buffalo in the background there, way in the background. I wonder if those buffalo didn't see the dastardly lions take down the zebra and then chase them off. That could well have happened. So we might see a kill later on if the buffalo decide that these lions shouldn't eat that zebra. Then it's possible. Maybe one of those wildebeest will wander too close. But certainly these lions, like the lions all over Africa, are absolute opportunists. So whatever comes too close to them, they will kill, regardless of whether they're hungry or not. But I think these guys are not unhungry. I think they are. Is unhungry a word, Jeandre? No, it's not, is it? I think they are hungry and certainly could eat. And maybe they'll go back to the zebra, maybe they'll kill something else a little bit later. Sorry, the splendor of this place is boiling my brain. Well, that's an interesting one, Tracy. Let me retrieve my binoculars. Oh. You say, Deborah, or Tracy, sorry, you say that dead zebra looks quite fat. Could it be pregnant? I must confess to you, I think that's a rather good theory. Yeah, I think it is quite fat. We can drive around there and have a look. In fact, why don't we do that? Jeandre, would you like to do that? Jeandre went, I don't know what that means, so I think we'll go anyway. I must confess, everyone, I had a very shocking experience just before we came live. Jeandre has taken his boots off and his foot was sitting on the back of my chair and I touched it. And it was, it took a lot of courage for me to even be able to come live at all. How is this ditch?
It's a nice ditch.
Well, you may well ask, Rebecca. You say, why are his shoes off? Good question. No one really knows. And Jeandre has become mute, so it's not possible to ask him. Oh, I see. He says now that his mother taught him not to stand on the furniture with his shoes on. My mother taught me not to stand on the furniture at all. Let's have a quick look at her. You can see she's very distressed by the sight of Jeandre. She looks deeply stressed out, doesn't she? She goes back to sleep. The lions of the Mara Triangle do enjoy a good sleep, much like lions everywhere, I suppose. Ah, look how spotty she is on her belly. Now I'm beginning to wonder, and on her feet. She's maintained a lot more spotting, and I don't think she's that young. She's maintained a lot. Look at her nose there. I'd say she was about 3 years old with a nose like that, so she's quite young. We know that from the blackening. By the time they're 6, especially apparently in East Africa, the lions have got completely black noses. That one's got quite a lot of pink on it. I'd put it about 3, but that's the most spotting I've ever seen on an adult lioness. And I'm just beginning to wonder, Mr. Wallington, if this isn't the lioness that we saw the first night with those males. She was very heavily spotted.
But then who would be the other lioness?
But who would be the other lioness? Yes, Mr. Wallington, that is a very salient query at this stage of the game, to which I do not have an answer, I'm afraid. Okay, let's go and have a look at that zebra, the deceased one. Now, although this does look like a very easy place to drive through, there is the odd ditch. So we'll just drive very slowly and easily through here. But we've very kindly been allowed to use this particular area. It's just below Ngama Mara where we're staying, and we've been kindly allowed to use it. And thankfully that is the case, because further south, where we were originally going to use, there are more rocks than you can shake a stick at. If you wanted to shake some sticks at rocks. Yes, I'm sorry about the bumping around. If you're starting to feel nauseous, just shut your eyes and I shall tell you what's happening. Jeandre, are you feeling nauseous yet? Jeandre did have some nausea the other day after our lion hunt, but he survived, everyone. He has some very heavy anti-motion sickness tablets that he takes, strong enough apparently to knock out a small horse. Right, we're approaching the site of the crime. I'm just going to warn you, everybody. I don't know what we're going to see around here. It could be fairly distressing. So I'm going to warn you that if you don't wish to see the gore, hang on, Jeandre, just wait a second. Then you need to shut your eyes now, because I think that the theory that Tracy had might not be incorrect. No, that just looks like a very large piece of cecum that's come out there. No, it's all right, everybody. I don't think there's a baby zebra. Well, there might be inside, but it's not out now. Jan, you want to know, as we look at this rather horrendous sight, why are there no vultures around here, or hyenas? There is one vulture, and Jeandre will show it to you just now. It's in the only tree, well, it's in the closest tree to us. Oh dear, Hendry has been thoroughly chastised. We've beaten him, stolen his hat, thrown it into the wilderness, and he'll never let the battery discharge again. He's in tears. Now, that was very evil of me. We're going to go back to the zebra. I'm just going to warn you, look, it's not distressing, but it is disgusting. So if you are perhaps feeling a little peaky, or you've just had your supper, you might want to not look. Now, what we're looking at there, everyone, is the zebra's cecum. Now, for those of you who are interested in biology, I think that's quite an interesting piece of organ. Many of you will think it's absolute nonsense, but it is interesting because you actually have a cecum, but it's in the form of something called your appendix. And in a zebra, which is a hindgut fermenter, and this is not something we're often able to talk about, because zebras don't generally wander around with their cecums hanging out of their bodies. You can see there it's enormous, and that is the fermentation vat in a hindgut fermenter. So if you're a hindgut fermenter and you need to digest grass and vegetation, that's where it happens, as opposed to a ruminant, for example, which has the fermentation taking place in the foregut or the front stomach, the four-chambered stomach of the rumen, at least of the ruminant. The rumen is just one of those chambers. So I think that's quite interesting. And we, of course, have a vestigial cecum, and that is the appendix, which we know, of course, we can take out should it become inflamed and explode, which apparently is very painful indeed. Jeandre, do you still have your cecum? Jeandre still has his cecum, everyone. What a relief. Do you have your cecum, Graham?
That's when I last checked.
When he last checked, Graham had his cecum, which is excellent news. Now, let's pan around. Because there's not really much else to say about that hapless zebra, which hasn't been eaten. But we can see there the wildebeest and the zebra in the foreground. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jeandre, those are buffalo in the background, aren't they? Yes, they are. And so that is my theory. My theory is that the buffalo chased off the lions before they could eat here, and that's why they haven't eaten. Now, what they'll probably do is come back at some stage and start eating this thing, unless the wildebeest and zebras start to lurk even closer to them. And, sorry, I'm just being distracted by a bird flying across the clearing onto the top of that tree there. There we go, where there is one single vulture sitting. And I'm just going to get my binoculars and see what that is. Tyler, thunder rolls. Mercifully, we have had no rain. Well, we've had a little bit of rain on us, sufficient to wet Jeandre, but the rest of us have remained dry, which is excellent. Now, Jeandre, I don't mean to cause you trouble. Well, you know that's not true, but I have to say it anyway. The lion's just sat up behind us. That is a horrible angle. Are you right? Can you do it, or shall I move the car? He's quite an agile fellow, Jeandre, for a man with calves his size. There we are. Beautiful. Stunning. And in the background, what we'd call a ring-necked dove. I'm pretty sure it's called a ring-necked dove here as well. You can hear it going in the same way that they do in South Africa. I've always found doves to have the most comforting calls. I don't know why. But perhaps that's why they're the birds of peace. And if you want peace in your life, everyone, as I've often said to you while fossicking about in Djuma, an African landscape like this, where there is no sound other than the sounds of nature, well, I've got to tell you, it'll fill you with a sense of peace the likes of which you've never had. Here come the lions. I think it's well worth waiting here. We did facetiously suggest driving over the top of the zebra so that the lions are forced to kill again, but then we decided that would probably be a little bit unkind, so we're not going to do that. We weren't, just in case you think I'm being serious, we weren't actually thinking about doing that. You say, oh, how wonderful. You say this is your first Mara drive since we got here because you've been at school. Well, I'm sorry about that, Michael, but you're obviously very keen on this area because you say, is this the Marsh Pride? Or are they on the other side of the river? You've got it exactly. This is not the Marsh Pride. They are on the other side of the river. This pride, we think, is a pride known as the Out of Africa Pride and seems to consist of 2 or 3 females, and there may even be some cubs. 2 cubs is what we've heard, but because... I'll just give you a bit of an idea. Because around here the woodlands often don't have any grass, at least any roads going into them, it's very difficult to sort of get off, and nobody goes off on foot to check. It's difficult to know exactly what the case is. But this is the Out of Africa Pride. We've been following the Kichwa Tembo Pride, who have strong connections to the Marsh Pride. Indeed, many of the females from there apparently are a breakaway of the Marsh Prides, Michael. So that's quite interesting. We'll probably go and see them a little bit later, especially if we think they might hunt. Isn't she beautiful? That's me taking a couple of pictures. Sorry about the sound. One day they'll make a silent shutter and I'll be able to fire off like a machine gun without you knowing about it. So, Michael, and then also related to the Marsh Pride, of course, Scarface the male lion. We saw him 2 days ago. What a magnificent beast he is. I think the biggest and most impressive male lion I've ever seen. And it was just fantastic to spend a bit of time with him. And you would have known him from, of course, the Big Cat Diaries. And we've met his brother, Morani. And we've met the 2 usurpers who apparently tossed him out of here. The blondies, we'll call them for now. The other 4 males of the 4 musketeers, which were, oh, look at her, which were Scarface, Morani, Sikio, and Hunter. There we go, I can't believe I remembered that. We haven't met Sikio and Hunter. We don't know where they are at this stage, but most probably back across the river with the Marsh Pride. There she goes. And you might just in the background be able to hear the zebra going, which is them alarm calling. I'm just going to watch out for the other lioness who's not coming this way, which is quite interesting. She is watching us. So chaps, very small movements if you're going to move at all. I don't mean everyone at home. She's not that good. She can't quite see you through the lens. Isn't this amazing? It truly is an astounding landscape. Everywhere you look, there is something amazing to see. Lioness feeding here. Just away to the right-hand side of your screen, you've got a huge herd of wildebeest, which are now, they've seen this lioness coming up here. Zebra, buffalo, the Olololo escarpment stretching up into the sky. Huge grey clouds surrounding us, dumping rain on this fertile ecosystem. Thankfully not dumping it on us just yet. Hello, Snoop. She's chasing some flies now. Snoop, you say how large of an you say how large of an area are we able to traverse here in the Mara compared with that at Djuma? Snoop, a huge area. We're able to traverse an area the entire size, well, about 9,000 hectares smaller than the Sabi Sands. So we can move through an area of 51,000 hectares. In acres, that is roughly 130,000 acres or so, which is quite impressive. And we can go anywhere there that we like. And that's the great joy of it, of course. Now, these zebra are starting to come closer. I'm just going to... Jeandre's going to stay on this lioness who's being slightly ridiculous. She's re-killing her zebra. And I must just reiterate, for those of you who are sensitive, I'm sorry about this, but this is, of course, typical cat behavior. And you can see there, Jeandre, on the bottom of the neck there, if you zoom in, you can see where she took hold of it, where she grabbed the throat of the zebra earlier on and killed it. The other lioness still not coming, not interested, and the zebra and the wildebeest all moving slowly closer to make sure or to find out what's going on here. Michael in New York, a very nice question from you, and I haven't seen it, but it certainly does happen. You say, have I ever seen a lioness injured badly by a zebra? Because, of course, they can kick. They can kick extremely hard, and it does happen that they get injured. I've never seen it. And I think in this ecosystem it probably happens more often than it does in other ecosystems, and that's because, of course, they eat, I think, more zebra. There are more zebra for them to eat. Now, everyone's alarm calling. I'm just going to be quiet for a while. You can feel the wind blowing, I'm sure. I've got to tell you, the smell of this place is just, it's clean, it's raw. I can't smell the zebra cecum, thankfully. And it is Africa. Now, she's not full. She can definitely eat, and that's great. Means that she has not killed for no reason. Slowly now, the herds are moving closer. I think let's have a quick look at them, Jeandre, if you don't... maybe not. I don't know what she thinks she's doing, why she's trying to drag it somewhere. There's no thicket behind which she can put it. There's a termite mound just behind us that I suppose she might try and drag it behind. And she's just watching the zebra now, and the wildebeest. She's not huge, you know, so I mean, maybe she's not quite 3 years old yet. Maybe she's got a little bit of growing to do still. Now, I can tell you this is not the same lioness we saw on the first day, and I'll tell you how I know that. The other one's coming up now. I know that because, it's not because of her spotting, it's because she does not have swollen teats like that other lioness did. And apparently the lioness with those two blondies on the first night that we were here, apparently she had just lost her cubs to those blonde males. Look at that, it's bizarre. Absolutely. absolutely bizarre. She's not making any effort to open it up and eat it. Might be the fact that the wildebeest and zebra are moving closer. It's unlikely, I think, that they would try and chase her off here. She's not making an enormous effort to try and get in there, and that just indicates to me she's not particularly hungry. She knows she'll eat. If she loses this one, she'll have something else to kill fairly soon. Okay, Jeandre, let's just quickly, if you don't mind, have a look at the herd and how they've come back up towards her. I probably haven't parked in the easiest place for old Jeandre here. He likes a challenge, though. There they are. You can see them all looking up now as the lioness got up and came to this area. And they're all going... That's alarm calling. You can't hear it because the ambient microphone is covered by the rain cover, which is, of course, extremely important because it would break were the rain to fall upon it. Might even electrocute Jeandre, and then his hair would be even more unwieldy than it is now. Do you want me to move slightly? Or are you happy here? He says, which I think means no, we're okay over here. Right, let's watch the other lioness. Here she comes now. Gosh, this is marvellous, isn't it? I'm watching the lioness, but look at the view behind her. There, I caught a whiff, I'm afraid, of the zebra's cecum. It wasn't particularly pleasant. What you can see, however, while this lioness, I'll just tell you about it, while this lioness comes over here, there is absolutely no reaction from the buffalo to the lions as they've come here now. One or two have looked up, but the rest of the herd is gathering. I think they're gathering and snoozing because it's getting a little bit cold. I'm just taking some pictures. Hopefully we'll be able to recognize these lions the next time we come. And I'd love for you to try and pick up some distinguishing features. Take some screenshots. Let's get some distinguishing features. Obviously, those spots might fade a little bit, but these two lionesses are easy to distinguish from each other. One of them seems to be lactating, although she's got swollen teats, but she doesn't seem to have very clear suckle marks. You've all been watching, of course, the... This is bizarre. You've been watching the Nkuhuma Pride, and you know, of course, that they've got very, very obvious suckle marks. The area around the teats become really quite worn. Beautiful. I'm just going to do a quick comms check with the final control. Rebecca, have we still got you there? Okay, good. There we go. Just making sure. Now, they're trying to get into the bottom, and that is the softest place for lions to get. So that's probably where they'll begin, especially as the kind of first hole that they've made has been, well, it's kind of been, you know, hang on a second. The first hole that they've made has been blocked, obviously, by the guts that have come out. You know what? I don't think these lions killed the zebra. I'll tell you why. I got a story from one of the guides earlier today that said he had seen a zebra in this area that had died around here. It tried to do a crossing the other day, was grabbed by a crocodile, came into this area, and its guts had started to come out. I think this is that zebra. I don't think they killed this thing. They've definitely had a go at it. But I think the swelling there that you're seeing, and the fact that it already doesn't quite have rigor mortis, perhaps. I think they're scavenging here. That's quite interesting. Hello, Ravi. you say it seems as if there are less flies around here than you'd expect. Are there less flies in the Mara, or is it perhaps because it's a fresh kill? Ravi, I think that I think it's because of the weather, largely. I think it's quite cool at the moment. The wind is blowing, which means the flies are generally fairly inactive. And so I think that's why you find that there are no flies here. There were some. You saw the lioness initially sort of trying to snap at some of them. So that's quite an interesting theory I now have, having just remembered that, because I don't see how otherwise it would have been disemboweled like that and why they'd be struggling like they are to get in there. I had forgotten completely that Wilson from Angama Mara had explained that he'd seen a zebra around here that had clearly been attacked by a crocodile at some stage. So that's what we have here, I think. Which would explain, I'll tell you what else would it explain, while that ridiculous lioness holds the head up. It would explain, and that's because she's young, I think, that she's playing like this. It would explain why the eye is missing, and I'm pretty sure that vulture lurking on the tree that we showed you earlier is responsible for removing the eye. I think it might also explain why the wildebeest and the zebra are still here. They're now starting to move. Look at the lions. They're interested here. Go on. Have a fresh wildebeest. It's much nicer. You can take some credit for getting your own supper, chaps. Lions, of course, the ultimate scavengers. You may think that a hyena is, but lions are just as adept at scavenging as hyenas are, especially male lions. So this is I don't think it's the first time they've been at this carcass, because certainly the lioness that we first saw seemed to have blood on her chin. But it would also explain why they just kind of left it, and I think it would also explain the swelling in the belly there. Who knows? I'll tell you what else my theory is, or what else supports this, is that the fact that the bottom there under the tail, can you see that, Jeandre, has been eaten away, but almost kind of in a half-hearted fashion. That doesn't look like a lion bite to me. That looks like a vulture's tried to get in there. That's not where lions normally eat from. They normally eat from the belly. I think the mystery of the zebra has now been solved. Ooh, there's a snake eagle. Are you going to shoot it, Jeandre? Thank you. The other day, everybody, I told Jeandre to shoot a rufous-bellied heron that flew over the crossing site where we were, and Graham got very cross. He said, "You can't look at a rufous-bellied heron where there are zebra and wildebeest streaming across the river." I mean, I suppose he had a fair point, but I hadn't seen a rufous-bellied heron for some time. Now, these animals are moving off, and I don't know where they're going to go. They seem, much like the wildebeest at the crossings, to be in two minds. Should they go south or north? Donald, do you want to know what the biggest bird of prey out here is? I'm going to say, Donald, in the absence of a Cape vulture, which I don't think they get here, a lappet-faced vulture would be the largest bird of prey that we find in this area. Probably about 7, 8 or 9 kilos, perhaps, which is a very big flying bird. Not quite the size of an Andean condor, but pretty close to it. Well, these zebras are coming closer and closer. I'm just going to get down off my perch and stand. You may also be able to hear the gentle revving of an engine. That is somebody who is now stuck in for a long night. We mustn't laugh at their misfortune, of course, because it would be very easy to do the same thing. All right, we're going to stay here and see what plays out here. We obviously do want to have some kind of a hunting sequence this evening. So we'll decide whether we're going to stay with this lot and the wildebeest that are now streaming past them, or if we're going to go back towards the Kitchwatembo Pride. In the meantime, while we make up our minds, let's head across to Brent Leo Smith, who is on Cheetah Plains with his own wildebeest. There we are, everybody. We've turned to infrared. Night is falling here in the Mara Triangle. The zebra that these two have thought about eating, they have now forsaken. I don't know why, but they have been giving a very good look towards the wildebeest that have moved off to the sort of western side of where we're now sitting. Whether they will move and try and hunt them, I don't know. But we're going to sit with them. The Kitchwa Pride seems to be very much flat cat, as it were. They're very full. Don't know what they've eaten. Just hearing now that apparently they're quite good buffalo specialists, which is interesting. So they could have a vulture. No, I actually don't believe I just said that. They could have a buffalo in the drainage line where we lost them yesterday. Not a vulture. They're not vulture specialists, everyone. They are buffalo specialists. And I think that's quite a good theory, because apparently all Peter could see was the fact that whatever animal they'd killed had a very large, rib cage.
James?
Yes, Graham.
Directly in front of us, a lion is emerging.
A lion is emerging from directly in front of us. Talented, because he can tell that one pixel you can see there on your screen is a lion. Much as I'd love to say, don't be ridiculous, at this stage I think I actually might concur with him. That will make it twice in one day that we have had a concurrence.
Which is scary. What does it mean?
It's frightening. I don't know that it's healthy. I also cannot see anything with my binoculars. It is an invisible lion, giving only a heat signature. Rather like that rather dreadful movie Predator.
The heat signature has also been drastically reduced.
Well, that will normally happen if it goes behind a bush, I imagine. Graham says the heat signature has been drastically reduced by it going behind a bush. I can hear some bats going pss, 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 pss. What do you think, Graham? You want to go and look? It's somewhere around those two trees there, everybody, that you can see there.
It's moving slightly east.
It's moving east now. I think to the left of that, Jeandre.
I think it's coming towards us.
Go to the left of that, left of the tree on the left of that. Yeah, if you zoom in there, that's where I believe it to be.
Right of that.
Hey?
Of where Jeandre is looking.
Yes.
No, it's to the right of that.
Sorry, Jeandre. It's to the right of the vulture tree.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right of that.
Right, I'm with you now. So, it's very difficult to tell what on earth our fearless leader is pointing his thermal camera at, because he's in the back of the car.
It's very big.
It's a very big thing coming towards us. It is a very big and completely invisible thing coming towards us. Ah, there it is. You might want to pan left. Not that bird, no. Those things of which we do not speak. Jeandre? Now, for when many of you on Safari Live, you will know that there are certain things of which we do not speak. And that was one of them. So if you're wondering, everyone, we have a policy of not showing rhinoceros on Safari Live. That is because of the poaching scourge. It's largely in South Africa, not so much up here. But we're not going to show rhino. And rather than play that we don't know what that was, it was a rhino going down into the woodland there. Now, Remy, you say, is this typical activity of the big cats, and you're a new viewer? Remy, I'm just going to give you a quick update as to what we think happened here. This is not typical behavior, but this is a migration season. In fact, so between July and October in this area, there are a huge number of animals that aren't here for the rest of the year. Large numbers of wildebeest, zebra, Thompson's gazelles, and eland. Now, we don't think that this zebra was killed by these lions. We think it was killed, well, eventually by a crocodile. So you can see its guts are hanging out there. That is unusual, and what we think happened is that it was grabbed by a crocodile, broke the skin, it came wandering up here, and eventually died on its own. The reason we think that is that the eye is missing, there was a vulture sitting nearby, and that clearly some evidence of a vulture trying to get in to the flesh through the bottom. And that these cats are lying next to it is, I don't know if it's typical for this area, but I'm going to say that when there is a during migration season, when there is such a massive amount of food in this area, I'm going to say that to call anything typical behavior would be a mistake. I think these cats might eat the zebra. They may go hunting later. We think there could be a male lion, 3 male lions around here somewhere. That's what Graham is searching for with the thermal imaging camera now. So, I mean, they don't look like they've fed recently because they're not full. They would definitely have fed sometime in the last week or so. Well, probably in the last few days, because there's so much for them to eat at the moment. So the fact that they're lying down next to an imminently eatable carcass, well, I'm going to say it's quite strange, but perhaps for migration season it isn't. I'm also going to say to you that I wonder if the zebra didn't die of an infection, as well as having its guts sort of hanging out there. And the reason I say that is that if a crocodile and its foul, rotten, flesh-bespattered teeth got into the guts of that zebra, you can almost be certain that it would be infected with some horrendous bacteria. So when it came down here and flopped down dead, you might find that the flesh is so infected that these lions are put off it. Now that's not, I mean, lions will eat very rotten flesh, but you might find that this is just a little bit, I don't know, maybe there's something in there that they don't like. They've had a bit of a go at the ear there, you can see. All right, we're going to sit here, not a particularly pretty picture at this stage. We're going to figure out what these lions are doing. We may move on to the Kitretembo Pride at some stage, but in the meantime, let's go across and see how our old pal, the great prince of Djuma, Tingana, is doing. She's listening to them calling, listen. There are other lions calling miles away. Both heads are up. It was a very, very distant call, everyone. Sounded like one lion. Sleepy lion. Ooh. Which way is the wind blowing, Graham?
It's blowing from the left side over our vehicle.
So they've turned their faces to the wind there. Maybe there's something out there. We're searching with the thermal camera.
We're looking up towards the zebras.
Not the one sitting.
The original zebras from like an hour ago.
I see. As opposed to the one lying next to them, trying to hide.
We're looking over the top of the dead zebra in the direction of the living zebras.
They're looking over the top of the dead zebra in the direction of the dead zebra, of the living zebras. Let's have a look at the thermal camera if we can. Now, just if you are a new viewer, hello, that's me sitting there. Those are the lions. This is a thermal camera that picks up a heat signature from animals that have heat, and that have heat. And strangely, that zebra still has heat, and yet it is very dead, unless it is masquerading. Perhaps it is masquerading as a dead zebra. It is pretending to be not alive anymore. I'm obviously being completely facetious. It is very dead, but it shows you that it's not that The carcass is not that old. Then, those twinkling lights in the top left-hand side of your screen, them is the other zebra, we think, and quite possibly mixed in with a herd of wildebeest. And that's what those lionesses are looking towards. Now, if you're wondering why it's a little bit jerky, it's because it's a handheld device being held at the bottom, at least at the back of the vehicle. What are those, Graham? Beefies. It could be buffalo, everybody.
I think that's the wildebeest bird.
Difficult to tell when you've got one pixel to find what animal you're looking at, but these lions are now looking interested. Now, we've come here to the Mara Triangle, of course. We're hoping to tell the story of a lion-hunted night, a second lion-hunted night. 3 nights ago, the Kichwatembo Pride, hunted in the rain and driving wind, and they killed a baby zebra. It was the most fantastic experience. We've spent another 2 nights with them. One night they sat doing absolutely nothing. The other, they attempted, well, one lioness attempted some hunting, but otherwise they didn't do a great deal. Then yesterday evening, we did spend, who did we spend yesterday evening with? We started with the Kichwas. Oh, very tired, exhausted lion. And then we spent some time with some male lions. They also did a lot of sleeping. Anyway, we think that one of these prides is going to do some hunting tonight. If this lot don't do anything, and I mean they do have a dead zebra with them, so the chances of them doing too much, I guess, are pretty small. But they haven't started eating it, which I think is very strange. We don't think they killed it. We think it died after the effects of a river crossing, where a crocodile basically chewed a piece of its underbelly off, and its guts eventually came out, and we think it died here. Why they're not eating it, I'm not sure. They've eaten a little bit of it so far, and one of these lionesses looks like she's lactating to me, but I'm not convinced she's given birth. I think she's got swollen teats, but to me, it doesn't look like anything's been suckling on them. They may have been killed by those intruding males. We don't know. But you can see they're not full. They're in very good shape, but they're not packed full of meat at the moment. A little bit of a stretch there. That's an interesting thought from Bree May, who says, is it possible the lions might be sitting next to the zebra as a way of camouflaging their own scent before they go on their next hunt? No, I don't think they've thought that far ahead. I think that they're lying here because I also think that there's a very big herd of zebra with lots of little zebra in it. Not very big herd of wildebeest with lots of little wildebeest in it, not too far from here, and we thought they may go and hunt them. They certainly watched them as the sun began to set, but this lioness looks like she's settling in for a bit of a feed now, and I think that's the older lioness, which makes me think that we might be wrong. So we'll sit here for another 10 or 15 minutes. Further up the road, we've heard rumour of males. We might go and check for them. They are, of course, the greatest scavengers out here, which means that they don't often do a great deal of hunting at this time of year. And then we might also go and check on our old pals, the Kichwatembo Pride, up, unsurprisingly, on the Kichwatembo airstrip. Now, Brent Leo Smith, of course, is following the Nkahuma Pride. They potentially too will hunt tonight, so that will be great. We'll have 2 lion hunts in 2 locations with any luck. So as we link back to him, I'm going to ask Jeandre to tilt upwards, and I'll show you the twinkling lights of Ngama Mara, where we are going to go and stay tonight, as we have in abject luxury for the last many nights. It's there. Okay, back to Brent and the Nkahuma Pride. Right, we're back in the Mara Triangle, everybody. There was a bit of action. This lioness got up. We thought she was going to go stalking towards the herd of wildebeest up to the north, or at least to the west of where she's now sitting. However, she started heaving, and then she had an enormous vomit. Now, that is disgusting in and of itself, but it does rather support my theory that perhaps that zebra is off. It might not be such a tasty meal. And I wonder if the crocodile's rotten, flesh-encrusted teeth didn't infect this poor thing before it dropped dead here. It can no longer see out of that eye. It is, however, still very warm, interestingly, and we know that from the thermal imaging camera, which is also now, much as that zebra is, out of commission, but this one not permanently because it is raining slightly. You may just hear the gentle pitter-patter of rain on the umbrella that our fearless leader is holding over Jeandre, our equally fearless cameraman. The lions, however, having looked like they might get up and move, are now not looking like they're going to get up and move. But I do think it's fascinating that they're not eating the zebra. Let's have a quick recap, and then I'll just tell you quickly about the lions of the area that we've seen today. Earlier, we had reports of a pride of 12 down on the Tanzanian border. We didn't go down there because it's very far and there's no signal here. We could have gone down there if we'd had to, or if we'd wanted to. There's no reason or no human impediment to stop us going down there. Then we saw those 7 lions earlier, which unfortunately we wanted to open the show on, but a great big storm came in and made a mess of our signal, so we weren't able to do that. Those lions, apparently of the Serena pride, look like 4 lionesses and 3 young males. And we have huge action here at this sighting at the moment. Anyway, we had to leave them. They weren't going to hunt tonight. They were extremely fat. They've been eating substantially during this migration season in the Mara Triangle. Then we went down to the crossings, and our tracker-in-chief, Peter Braat, went up towards the Kitrutembo airstrip, where the Kitrutembo pride were lurking. One of them extremely fat. He didn't manage to see too many of the others, but none of them looking particularly enthusiastically like they wanted to hunt. Then reports of 3 males in this area, and we're probably going to go and do a little fossick around and see if we can't find them. They may be on the hunt. We don't think they've eaten for a while. They certainly were looking, well, relatively well fed yesterday, but they weren't panting. Maybe those 3 are on the hunt, so we'll probably go in a few minutes to see if we can't find them, and we'll do a loop around towards where we can see the thermal heat signature of the buffalo and the wildebeest that we had earlier around here, and we'll see if they're not being stalked by those 3 males. We might be lucky, because I don't think, I don't know what these lionesses are going to do. I think they're pretty hungry, but they're not eating the zebra, and I think that's rather bizarre, especially given that that one has had a hard vomit in the last half an hour. Jen B, a nice one from you. You're wondering if I think that zebra is too infected for them to eat. Would a hyena eat it? I must just put a caveat here. I mean, I'm not convinced that the zebra is too infected for them to eat. I put it forward as a theory for why it has remained like that, uneaten during the course of the day by these lions, and perhaps why it is that one of the lions was sick. I'm not saying that is definite. The biggest and quickest way to get egg on your face out here is to say something definitely, because then lions and every other animal out here will almost always turn around and do the precise opposite. That said, do I think that the hyenas would be able to eat it if it is too infected for the lions? I don't know. They definitely have a more acidic digestion, but a lion's digestion is pretty acidic. You know, they've got a pretty strong constitution. So I'm going to say yes, maybe, but I'm also going to say that if this thing did die of an infection, there's so much else for the hyenas to eat that were they to come across here and smell some kind of pathogen in that zebra, I think they'd leave it alone. I think they'd basically move on and see what else they could find. Nice one. Thank you, Jen. There's a fascinating theory from Carol in Atlanta. Yeah, Carol, you say, is it possible, you would have thought maybe the metabolic heat of the bacteria consuming the inside of that zebra, maybe it died with an extremely high fever, and maybe that is what is contributing to the thermal signature. Either there's metabolic heat in there from the bacteria, which I'm not so sure about, but maybe there is, maybe it died of a temperature and just hasn't cooled down yet. That's a really nice theory. Thank you, Carol. And the only bits of it that have been eaten are a little piece out from under the tail there. That's where the lion who vomited was eating from, and then the ear off the face, and that the younger lion ate. She hasn't had any, doesn't seem to have had any ill effects. Ravi, another one from you about whether or not if this thing died of an infection, would a vulture be able to eat it? Yeah, I would say yes. You know, I mean, there's very little out here that rots away completely without being eaten. So eventually something is going to eat the zebra. It's not just going to lie here, I don't think, and rot completely. So, Ravi, I would say yes, vultures probably able to eat it. We know that they are specifically designed to eat the most rancid flesh in the world. So perhaps they'd be okay with it. I mean, I think there are probably some very specific things in various animals and birds' digestions that allow them to eat various things that other animals can't. And perhaps vultures and even hyenas would be able to cope with the disease that the zebra had, and maybe the lions not so much. So like I say, I think we're going to spend another 5 minutes here or so, and then we're going to head off north and see if we can't find the males or the lions of the Kitrutembo pride. Are these two still fast asleep, Jeandre? Indeed they are. We have spent quite a lot of time with flat cats, but that's simply because our timing has been such that the cats have generally eaten basically as we've got to them, like these two we thought were going to with the zebra. But as I say, I think they look pretty hungry. But let's see what happens as we go forward. They keep smelling something on the wind. That's why they keep lifting their heads, I think. Ooh. Ooh. What a pity it is we don't have the thermal imager. If the rain stops, we will absolutely pop it up. Sicky lioness has not picked up her head. She's feeling a bit low. There's no reason that lioness, if something comes along here, there's no reason she wouldn't be able to kill it on her own. As I said, lionesses on their own often kill as much, or kill enough to eat as much, if not more, than prides that have 3 or 4 lionesses in them. I also think that there are males calling somewhere way to the east of where we are now, and sometimes she lifts her head and turns, and you just hear in the very far distance, ho, 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 ho. Right, unfortunately it seems like the Nkahumas have also decided that life is rather too tough for them, and they've decided to have a bit of a snooze, but Brent will tell you about that while we wait and decide what to do here. We've found a lioness, everybody. We don't know what she's doing here, who she is. She seems to be stalking towards the others. And we've just done a sort of loop around. We found a herd of wildebeest going at high speed. Now this lioness looks like she's hunting to me. There were supposed to be 3 within this little pride. Let's watch and see what happens here. Now she looks like she's pregnant to me. I don't think it's one of the same ones. We've done a very small kind of loop from where we last saw you. She's smelling other lions. See the phlegm and grimace? For those of you who don't know what that is, that's the opening of a tract to the organ of Jacobson, or the veronasal organ, sorry. And what that does is interpret pheromones. You see how swollen she is on the belly. But again, no obvious proper suckle marks. Hooray! Well, we've got a lion moving. Let's follow her. We've also got Wallington sitting on the roof, so quite possibly he will slide off. Hold on, Graham. I'm just going to turn around, try and keep her in the infrared beam. She's stalking straight towards where those wildebeest were running, everyone. This is great. Oh gosh. Here we go. Oh dear. That's it, I'm afraid. We are now stuck. No, everyone, I'm afraid this is a bit of a disaster. We came off road, we've gone into a rut, and we are now immobile. I can't make it move at all, Graham. No, man. I'm going to give it one rev, but I really think it's done. Yeah, we're on the diff. Oh, gosh. Okay, we're going to link back to South Africa. And let's try and find out what's going to happen here. We'll try and get ourselves out of here, back to Jamie. Hopefully that lion won't kill while we're getting out of here. That, everybody, is just astounding. While we sit here with the sleeping lions, well, one cleaned itself. Who would have thought it? Well, I suppose everybody who loves the ninkapumas. They have pulled it out of the bag and killed a buffalo here exactly as we wanted them to. Lion kills at night. How fantastic they have been. This bunch has been doing not a great deal. Since I last saw you, obviously we were stuck. That is not an uncommon occurrence for me. And what happened was, oh, sorry, we're going straight back to South Africa. There's even more action going on. Hello everybody, sorry about the very quick link last time. Well, I'm not actually sorry at all. You've got to go and watch the little Nkuhuma cubs arriving at their kill, and well deserved it is for them indeed. Our cats, as you can see from the thermal imaging camera, are, well, very tired. But just behind them, a herd of what Graham Wallington calls bogies. The bogies have the wind blowing sort of from the lions to them, we think. We can't really tell. It seems to be swirling slightly. But that is the potential hunt that might happen here if these lions can bring themselves to just wake up and do something other than nothing. There we are. Two sleeping on the left. One under a termite mound on the right, the other one lurking about here somewhere. Now, we think this is 4 lionesses. We're going to vaguely conclude that they might be from something called the Out of Africa Pride. It's been very difficult to figure out what's going on, because every time we thought we'd figured out what was happening, 2 more lionesses would appear. I'm assuming that we're not very far from where that zebra died, so I'm assuming 2 of these are perhaps the 2 that were at the zebra earlier. Then 2 more appeared as we got stuck. And then, of course, I didn't want to get my boots dirty, so we sent Graham and Tyler and Jeandre and William out to push the car out, and they did that very successfully. We then followed these lions, and they went to sleep, which is what they have done quite frequently here. I'm beginning to think that A, they do quite a lot of killing during the daytime, and B, well, I mean, they hardly look like they're desperately hungry. So they do quite a lot of feeding during this time of the year, and quite a lot of hunting during the day. But the Kichwatembo Pride, who knows what they're doing tonight, who knows what the males are doing. We took a gamble on this bunch, and, well, hasn't quite paid off like the Nkuhumas have, but You know, if you've got vehicles traversing the entire continent of Africa, as we have at the moment, you're going to find at least one pride of lions intent on finding themselves some supper. If that pride of lions happens to have 8 little cubs to feed, well, then they're probably even more likely to go hunting than they would be in this rather prey-rich environment. Let's have one last look at the no, sorry. Graham, can we have one last look at the fleur? Thank you very much. Let's see where the other are. We're back on that herd of potential bogies who are just twinkling very pleasantly off towards the east. Hello, Lisa. A very good question from you. You want to know how much time or how often I think these various prides in the Mara cross paths. Lisa, you know, I mean, I haven't been here long enough to say, but I do think from what we've learnt over the brief time we've been here, that there is so much upheaval when the migration comes through, so much kind of unusual behaviour when the migration comes through, that I would imagine it's quite difficult to predict. Because certainly the Kitrutembo pride, I thought we've seen them as far. Have we seen them this far? Yes, we have. We haven't seen them quite this far south, but I think they have been seen certainly this far south, and it would make their territories pretty small if they never came across each other. So I think it's rather fascinating. I don't want to put my head on a block, as it were, and try and guess what's going on here. But yes, they certainly could. They certainly could come across each other. But they do call a lot. You know, if you sit on top where we're staying at Ngamamara, you sit on the deck in the evenings, there's calling from all over this place. So maybe their territories shrink during this time of the year. It could happen with very sort of prey-rich areas. That could definitely be the case. And then maybe they get a little bit bigger and spread out from each other when the wildebeest and zebra and eland and Thompsons go wandering down south into the Serengeti. But I've got to tell you, it'd be wonderful to spend a year here and figure out exactly what is going on. And of course the only way you can do that is to spend an extended period with these animals. That one is alive. You can see there it's breathing. Aqua, a nice question from you about whether or not these prides have smaller or larger territories than the ones in the Sabi Sand. From what I've seen here, I'm going to say they're slightly smaller. That would make perfect sense given the prey density here. The prey density here is, I would say, probably quite a lot higher than it is in the Sabi Sand. At the moment, of course, we're in the middle of a drought in the Sabi Sand, or it's just kind of broken, and so things are A, weak, and B, coming out of the Kruger into the Sabi Sand because there's pumped artificial water, and so it's probably it's still not equitable even at this stage. So I'm going to say I think it would make sense that the prides here would have smaller territories. The Nkuhuma pride's territory is probably about 5,000 hectares, which is just over 10,000 acres, and I would have said the prides here, from what, I mean, this is based on combined experience of about 8 days here. I would say that the pride territories here are probably, and this is a wild guess, but about maybe 3,000 or 4,000 hectares each. So between, say, 9,000 and 11,000 acres. Now, whether that situation persists when the migration moves away, I don't know. You see, I mean, in the Sabi Sand, the prey situation is relatively stable throughout the year. Same number of impala and nyala and kudu and buffalo and giraffe and other wonderful creatures that we get there. And then over here, of course, the situation does change. But the game is still thick on the ground during the rest of the year when the migration isn't here. There's topi, there are, I think, probably some resident eland, probably some resident wildebeest and zebra, plenty of buffalo still around, lots of giraffe, masses of warthog, there are impala here, and so I think still there's a lot to eat here. But maybe with the reduction in prey numbers, the lions spread out a bit. It would be fascinating to find out, I must say. And I've tried to read up on all of this stuff before we got here, and there's precious little. And I don't think that's necessarily indolence on the part of the researchers. I think it's just simply that it's actually quite difficult to figure out what on earth is going on here. And I think only an extended period with the same lions could truly figure out what was happening. Then, of course, while I'm waffling on like this, there is the small matter of a pride takeover here. New males coming into the area, a couple of nomads coming up with the migration. Apparently Scarface brought 2 females created almost the Kichwatemba pride by bringing some females across with him from the Marsh pride. So, I think things are also in a state of flux here at the moment. And maybe in a couple of months' time they'd have settled down. A bit like these lions, which have settled down profoundly. Right, we've had some amazing action today, but the link I've just been asked for in the context of what we've had today has just blown my mind. We're going to go across to Jamie, who's got a spider on her dashboard. Now seem to be following the lions. They've got up and they're moving. I can't see them. Jeandre, can you see them? Okay. Okay, more lions at 12 o'clock. They're on the move. Hurrah, hurrah. Maybe they were just being polite. They're running now. Jeandre, just give me a number.
It's 11:30.
Straight ahead. She's jogging. I'll have to turn these off. We'll just turn those on. It's too bright, isn't it? Jeandre, if you see anything in front of us, you let me know, will you? Otherwise we're going to go into a hole. Oh, you think they're going to the carcass? Well, let's see. They might be heading towards that zebra carcass, everybody. In which case, well, it's not quite a kill. Let's follow and find out. What a night we've had. Just by the way, we were sitting here, of course, in the car with these flat kitties, and we watched quite a lot of what you were watching. And how amazing was it that the ninkapumas and now their cubs, oh gosh, we're back with the dead zebra here. It promised so much. Done? Which lioness this is and why she started running here. So we went off, everyone, to try and see if we could find whether those were buffalo or wildebeest. They turned out to be wildebeest. Then we turned round, and that's what we found. So if you have just joined us, this zebra died, we think, as a result of injuries inflicted by a crocodile during one of the crossings over the Mara River. We watched 2 lionesses eating it earlier. One of them then threw up violently, and then we drove off and we found 2 others, and they were shortly joined, we thought, by the 2 that were eating this zebra. Now suddenly they're back here. We don't know why she threw up. We don't know why nothing is eating this thing. We don't know why that whole group of 4 lionesses isn't eating the zebra. It's all rather strange.
The wildebeest aren't too far off.
And apparently the wildies, as Graham is saying, are not too far off.
So at 4 o'clock?
We're at 4 o'clock, so you're looking at sort of 10 o'clock. They're about 180 degrees behind us. And we'll just keep the thermal imager looking the other way at the wildies, because if she's got up and she's from the same group of lions, which, I mean, I can't see why she wouldn't be, she's come from that direction, it's possible the others will get up and spot those wildebeest, as opposed to lie in the grass and do absolutely nothing. Now, this kind of situation, of course, where an animal dies of an injury inflicted either on it by crocodiles or perhaps by lions on a failed lion hunt, we know, we've seen the Nkuhumas who've become rather expert buffalo hunters. We know we've seen them fail before on a buffalo and leave it sort of walking around injured. I think that happens here quite a lot. There's obviously so many animals here that they probably hurt each other when they do these great crossings across the river. And so a carcass like this, lying in the middle of a clearing, sort of unattended, is not actually that unusual. What is unusual is that it has remained, or that these lions found it and then left it again. And one of them seems to have come up. Graham, no bogies. I'm afraid my thermal imager is down.
I'm going to guess that one more lioness is slowly walking.
So Graham reckons one lioness slowly making its way towards us.
You know me, I'm not one to guess.
No, quite. Graham says he's not one to guess, but that's not really true. Luckily he guesses right most of the time. Now I wonder if she hasn't smelt those wildies. That's where she looked off. The wind is in her favour, even though she's probably smelling the worst part of that zebra right now. So we shared a couple of theories, everyone, as to why the zebra was left uneaten. One of them was, of course, that it has become infected by the crocodile's foul, rotten meat, sort of in bespattered teeth. There's something else off to the left-hand side there, and maybe that made it sick. So you've not got IR? Thermal, sorry. Why are there no hyenas here? That's also very odd. There you can see something just off to the left-hand side, top left. The lioness has seen it. This could be quite interesting. Very interesting. And you can see the zebra, I would say, Graham, starting to cool there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, its fever must be dying.
Its fever's dying down, yes. I mean, interesting that it was as white hot on that picture as the lion was when we first found it. Now it seems to be cooling down as a result of being dead. Sally, you're in Oregon and wondering whether the zebra was still glowing. Well, certainly not with the flush of life and the views of the Mara, but it is glowing slightly with the residual temperature of its recently ended life. But there, that bogey. Oh, we've got a pixel, 1 pixel off to the left-hand side of the FLIR camera, and it's now static. Anyway, we've got some lion action finally. It's good news. Not quite the lion action we'd hoped for, but that's what happens here. Live wildlife television. And brilliant that we've had a live lion kill during the special week when we'd hoped to have just that. We've had 2 live lion kills this week. 1 from the Mara, 1 from, well, nighttime lion kills, 1 from the Sabi Sand. And all in all, I think it's been a rather good return. Zoe, interesting one from you. You say, do I think that it's possible for the animals to tell how putrid or sort of diseased this carcass is simply from smelling it? Or do I think they need to probably taste it? I would have said they probably need to taste it. You know, they've got very sensitive noses, but they don't have anything like the number of taste buds we do, and they don't taste anything like the sort of complexity that we do, apparently. So I don't think the taste really bugs them. They probably get a sense of toxicity, though. I mean, in the same way that many animals get a sense of toxicity, at least many herbivores get a sense of toxicity from the vegetation that they eat, and they'll avoid poisonous plants. I'd love to ask this lioness why she couldn't have been bothered to go and catch a little wildebeest. That would have been delicious. Now, Brooklyn, age 10. Just in case, obviously you weren't with us a little bit earlier. Brooklyn, that thing is called a cecum. Now, a cecum is where all of the zebra's digesting happens. So it goes through most of the intestines, which are the tubes that come out of the stomach, and they go into that thing called a cecum. And in that cecum, Brooklyn, there are a whole lot of bacteria. Now, bacteria, I will ask you, is a kind of little, I suppose you could call it somewhere between an animal and a plant. It's very small, you won't be able to see it. It's the same kind of thing that, you know, if you get a sore, if you get a cut on your body and it starts to turn red all around there, it's the same kind of thing that gets into there. But there are good bacteria and there are bad bacteria, and the zebra's got much, much good bacteria inside the stomach there, and that bacteria helps the zebra to digest grass. And one of the reasons you can't eat grass, Brooklyn, and why you have to eat things other than grass, is that you don't have the same bacteria as the zebra has in its cecum. And so that's why it's all, that's what that big thing is there. And it's so full because you see it's filled with gas. And those bacteria make a lot of gas, and I know that you have probably seen zebra running on Safari Live if you've been watching for a long time. Certainly we often see the zebra running close up in the Sabi sand, and sometimes, well, we've seen them running a lot here. And you know what they do when they run, Brooklyn. They often do what my dad calls let fly, which means they fart. And that's because of all the gas there in the cecum. So that's what that is. And you've actually got a cecum, Brooklyn. It's just very, very small, and it's called your appendix. Your appendix is just at the end of your large intestine. Now, this lioness has seen, smelt, or heard something. Probably that small pixel that Graham spotted on the thermal imaging camera. It doesn't seem to be coming any closer. What direction is she looking, Graham? Sort of towards 7 o'clock. We just can't move everyone, she's very close. Can you still see her, Graham? You want me to drive? I'm going to drive forward slightly. Something is being killed, possibly a buffalo. Let's move. I'm going to turn the lights on. That is really vile. Where do you think, Graham? What direction? Well, she's heard it, everyone. Don't sit down. Come on, go and find whatever it was. Yeah, let's be quiet here for a second, everyone. We're going to give a hard listen. I can't hear anything, but we've got lots of ears on the car. So everyone's trying to listen. But again, you can see the lioness has left that zebra. Why? It's fresh food, you'd think. Follow her. So that, everyone, is what we shall do. Two o'clock. 12 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to put a bit of light on, otherwise we're going to hit something. There we are. Still at 12. I can't hear. 2:30. Oh, she's right here. She's right next to us. Just turn off here briefly. There she goes. She's now hunting the wildebeest, we think, everyone. We think we have a hunt on. Mr. Wallington is convinced of it. This is excellent. Let's see what happens. I'm going to follow her just within the infrared range. And there we got onto the thermal camera. You can see where she's going. Those are the wildebeest in the distance. It's going to be a little bit bumpy. Seasick safaris, briefly. But there she is. She definitely seems to be moving around them, possibly using the wind. Gosh, this is fantastic. Grief, can you imagine Safari Live got 2 lion kills in one night? Have you seen her? We've lost the flare somehow. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit quicker. Right arm down. So, just to explain the numbers that are being called out, I cannot see what's going on, everyone. I am driving blind in the same way that a helicopter pilot, I suppose, flies blind with instruments. My instruments are Jeandre on infrared and Graham on thermal image. 1 o'clock, slightly right hand down. Let's quickly go back to Jamie. I think she's got some... Look, everybody, look at this. The lioness, those little dots in the end there are the eyes of the wildebeest. She's walking straight towards them. I'm going to have to cut all light now completely with us. Jeandre, we need to be in eye arm. I'm sorry, man. I'm going to move slightly forward. Try and zoom in a bit. Sorry, man. She's going to chase now. Okay, I'm going to move a bit closer. Still at 12. There she is. We've got her there. I've got her. She's walking straight towards them. They have no idea she's there. I can see absolutely nothing in front of me. It's completely black in front of me. Right hand down. This is unbelievable. Right hand down more. Okay, I'll try. What I don't want to do is spook the wildebeest. We were behind her by about, oh gosh, sorry, we drove onto a hump. Oh, damn it. You still with her, Graham? Right on down. Okay, I'm going to have to turn some light on. I can't see. Okay, light down. Sorry, everybody, we okay, she's running. Okay, you must tell me, guys.
Right hand down.
Okay, don't shout. So exciting, everyone. This is so exciting. My heart is pounding. She's running. Where must I go?
She's flanking on the right.
She looks like she's flanking left. Hold on, everyone. Give me a number.
Right.
Give me a number.
12 o'clock.
Okay, we're going straight, everyone. Are you okay, Graham? So I nearly lost Graham off the back there. That would have been a small disaster. Well, very large disaster actually. Can't tell what's happening at the moment. I don't know if she's... We're going to keep going straight. She is on the left of the wildebeest. Okay, we're going to keep going straight. What's this? Going to keep going straight. I know you can't see anything, everyone, but we really don't want to spook the wildebeest or her. Now, she's closing the gap now. She seems to have flanked them from the left. I'm just watching a little bit of the thermal camera. She seemed so close to them when we saw them. And I don't know if they were spooked or if they ran a bit. But maybe we just fell behind when we hit that termite mound. Can't tell if she's running or not. Now she's running. She's running at them. I think she's running at them, everyone. I can just see the movement. I can see eyes in front of us. The lioness moving straight towards them. I'm going to have to kill the lights again. So now I'm driving completely blind. Can you see her, Jeandre? Okay, I got her now. She's running now. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. She's running. She's running. She's going. She's going.
Right hand down, right hand down.
She's running still. We can see her there, Graham. She's straight in front of us. There she is. She's missed. How did she miss? She was right on them.
Scattered to the wind.
No,
There's another one.
there's another lioness there. Everyone, my heart is absolutely pounding, mainly because I nearly lost the CEO off the back of the car. There, she's running again. There's another one running from the side there, Graham. Stay right, stay right. Yeah, there we go. We have just had an experience, the likes of which you cannot believe. I'm afraid we lost battery power suddenly as she chased, and then she missed. She went off to the right-hand side after one of them, didn't seem to even go at a full sprint, and then kind of, I guess she gave up as we lost battery. But it was tremendously, tremendously exciting. She got so close. I don't know how on earth she missed them. She could not have been more than 5 or 6 meters from them, maybe a bit more, maybe 20 meters from them. But she had a termite mound for cover. She was in complete and utter darkness. I must just reiterate that. I was driving utterly blind, couldn't see anything at all, and so the wildebeest had no idea she was coming, and she missed them. And the other two are just to the right-hand side of us. They're not within the infrared range. She's looking or smelling something else. But the others are quite far spread out from here now. So I don't know what they're doing. It's all rather bizarre. She's looking quite keenly at something. Graham, nothing else behind us, eh? To the left.
I think I can hear something roaring or something in the forest.
Lady Macbeth, you're wondering if one lioness can take out a wildebeest. Yes, absolutely, easily, and especially as in a big herd of wildebeest, you've got wildebeest of all ages. You've got little calves. She's calling now. That's a contact call, though. It's interesting. Ooh, what's going on now? The mysteries of the Mara lions continue. She's going past the left, is she, Jeandre?
Yeah. Well, she's dead 12.
So she's straight in front of us now.
She's coming back to the right. Very close.
Very close to the car. That's next to you, Tyler.
No, that's you, James.
Is that me? Where on earth this lion is? That's me there. Hello, everybody.
1 meter away from each other.
She's 1 meter away from us now. Distance increasing. That's the thermal camera you can see. She's walking towards the other lions. Happy to move, Graham?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all coming together now. I can put on a little bit of light because they're not in a complete hunt yet. Gee whiz, that was just incredible. So Lady Macbeth, yes, a lioness can absolutely take out a wildebeest, probably an adult cow. We watched a lioness take out, well, an almost adult cow yesterday. Sorry, I need a number, guys. Say when? Ah, there they are in front of us. You just see them now. The edge of the infrared. And one on the right of us as well. Oh, they're all moving now. One at 2 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to go towards 11:30. Let's leave the one at 2 for now. She'll presumably join the others. Yeah, they're up and they're moving together now. All right, while we follow these lions into the night, let's head across to Jamie. She's got another genet. So the lions are now moving towards a woodland area where they seem to have heard something roaring or something calling. They had a full roar, which as far as our hunting goes is not a particularly positive sign, but goodness, these mysteries that we're unraveling here, hopefully even further to be sorted. What is just difficult to tell exactly what's on the thermal camera. They're walking right towards a woodland that is below the Ulololo escarpment. Ulololo, can't say that word. There were rumours of cubs in this area. Let's see. Now, quite unlike the woodlands of Djuma, we will not be able to drive down into this woodland because it is, well, it's basically it's a sort of forest. It's a patch of forest. We're keeping scanning with the thermal. She seems to have found something, yeah. You just move it on the side. She's moving again. Something coming out of the forest. No, nothing coming out of the forest. Right, there was one of them going basically into the forest in front of us. This one following. Not sure where the other two are. Graham, any idea? Other two in front of this lot. This might be the end of our lion tonight. Need to be very careful going in here. Hold on tight, everyone. Gosh, what a night it's been. Quite something if Jamie could top it off with another leopard. They're calling again. They're calling. I'm gonna keep going, everyone. I would normally turn off, but I don't want to lose them. Okay, I'm just gonna give you a quick listen. Something has spooked them, attracted them, caused them to come and think that there's some threat to their territory down here. Could be the males, I don't know. We've gone into some very thick stuff here. I'm going to turn the lights on, otherwise we're going to get ourselves into trouble. Yeah, they're having a bit of a play now. Where's that one, Jeandre? Sorry.
12.
12 o'clock. Keep going. That, everybody, is a rather substantial canyon in front of us, over which we will not cross. What a night. It really does wonder what on earth they heard here. Marking territory, so something has alerted them. They heard something calling down here. They've come to mark their territory, that's why they were shouting, geeing each other up with their play behaviour. Look at the heat coming off that bush that she marked. That's so cool. Just have a quick look there, Jeandre. See, just behind her, that's the bush she just marked. Look at the heat on that. It's no wonder that zebra stayed warm for so long. There, what's that at the far end of the screen? Wonder what that is. Could be a... doesn't look like a hyena to me. Might be. Goodness, I wonder what that is. Top of the screen, everyone. Whatever it is running now, and they've stopped. And still, in the bottom of your screen, that bush that she marked, you can still see it there, just moving on the top right. It seems to have disappeared now. I think, well, it looks like they're looking towards whatever that was. Are the lions at, where are they, at 11 o'clock?
11, yeah.
I'm just going to swing the car slightly, Graham. I won't go forward, fear not. Morani, a famous member of the Four Musketeers who was around this area with Scarface, and two usurping blonde males. They've also been around here, and then this lot here. A couple of nomads we've seen, and we've even seen the great Scarface himself. But this lot, we think, are what is known as the Out of Africa Pride. It's rather fascinating. They've gone to sleep there on a ridge down through the dip. Yeah, and they're continuing to move down there. Something attracted them, everyone. They were on the hunt briefly, then they were sleeping, then suddenly they were up and calling and coming through here. Maybe they've got cubs here, maybe they heard another lioness calling, or maybe a male lion calling the other side of this woodland. It seems to be a natural boundary between them and possibly the territory off to the south. We're facing pretty much due south now. But who knows? Well, it's a great honour to be learning all of this stuff from one of the most beautiful places I've ever experienced. I hope you've enjoyed it with us. I'm sure you have, especially as it has been trumped tonight, I suppose, by the Nkahumas and their cubs and their big buffalo meal. Hello, Rain. You say you're 16 years old, and you say the lions in the Mara seem to be different in their behaviour, in that they just seem to frolic around a lot. They don't seem to be they kill their animals and then they don't eat them. Rain, I think it's very much not a function of the fact that they behave differently here. If you were to drop the Nkuhumas here, I think they'd behave in very much the same way. I think it's just the fact that we're in the migration season. There's a lot in the way of prey around here at the moment. It's almost like a sort of 3-month festival that they have, and everything's excited. There are wildebeest and zebra and Thompson's gazelles leaping across the river every day. They're coming into the clearings at night. Some of them are just dying of natural causes. It's like a real bonanza, smorgasbord of things for these lions to eat. And I think that's why they're behaving very differently. Toss in the pride male takeover, those 2 blonde usurpers coming in, kicking out Scarface, making friends with his brother Morani. Well, I just think it's got all the makings of a great, great story here in the Mara Triangle. And that's what's going on. I don't think biologically these lions are behaviourally different from the ones down south that have just fascinated us all by killing that buffalo and then bringing their precious little cubbies to have a meal with them. I believe one of them was sleeping on his food. Terrible habit, that. Yeah, nothing on the thermal there in the trees. You know, if a leopard had called here, there has been a leopard calling here tonight, I don't think these lions would have reacted. I think it's another lion that's come up from the other side and possibly called once. And these guys thought, no, that's not going to fly. Phew. Jeandre, you've got no sight of them here outside of the infrared, at least the thermal. All this technology is so deeply confusing. In the background we can hear some hyenas calling. All right, well, I think we're going to have to turn around. Graham, did you see all 4 go in here?
No, I've only seen 3.
Yeah, we've only seen the 3. Anyway, we'll go and see if we can't find the other one and maybe do a brief turnaround, see what else there is, and we'll catch up with you once you've said goodnight to Brent Lea Smith, who I'm sure was beside himself with excitement at the Nkuhuma kill today. Right, everybody, what a day it's been. We're just going to go down the road here, down Graham's favourite slippy, slidey road, onto the main road and just check, because we've found one more bogey to have a look at, and given that this is our very last night here in the Mara for this particular sojourn in East Africa, let's just go and have a quick look at what it is. Not too quick, because if we go too quick on this road, this Land Rover will lie on its side like one of those lions. What a wonderful, wonderful experience it's been here. I'll just tell you my impressions as we go down the road here. We'll be about 5 minutes, I think, and then we'll say goodnight to you. Wow, to be in a place like this with the endless landscapes, colours that you just can't believe and pop out, that no photograph will ever do any justice to, vistas that likewise no photographs will do any justice to. 3 o'clock bogey, sorry everybody, I'll try and be poetic a little bit later once we've stopped talking about bogeys. Do you want to go off the road here quick? Let's go have a look, see what the bogey is. Try not to get stuck again. It'll be a great injustice for me to get stuck again at this late juncture. There's quite a lot of water down here. Anyway, as we move towards whatever this thing is, just the diversity of life and the sheer abundance of it has been overwhelming. And I've got to tell you, once or twice I've been left fairly watery-eyed by the things we've seen here. There's been terror, tragedy, triumph, little Thompson's gazelles being smashed by crocodiles and other tiny little ones making it across the river. The endless cycle of the migration, the wildebeest and the zebra going to and fro across the river. Well, that looks like an eland to me. What is that? I think it's a bokkie. It looks like an antelope, everyone. We'll just keep going. For now, get one last look at it. Any ideas, anyone? 2 o'clock? It is a reedbuck. We're going to leave the reedbuck alone. And you're all asking me what my favourite moment was. Well, you know, you're also saying thank you for the experience. I think my favourite moments, everyone, have been sharing it with you, learning with you about this amazing place and seeing things that I'd only ever seen on TV before and didn't really believe that they existed in reality, to be honest. And that I think the crossing's probably my highlights. But as I said to somebody yesterday, they asked me what were the most amazing things that I saw. And for me, I think it's been the sheer space. Endless vistas, different every direction you look, a plethora of life in every direction, and that whole general kind of thing has been the highlight. Of course, the Thompson's Gazelle crossing yesterday was probably my highlight. With again, the tragedy of it and the triumph of the little one that got out, made it out, found the rest of the herd, and went off happily. Unfortunately, it's going to have to cross that river again at some stage during its life. Let's pack it in, everyone. I think we're into what might be described as the law of diminishing returns. We'll just quickly look down onto the road there. Can you see anything in front of us, Graham? No bogies. A very small bogey. It's probably a sleeping, rattling testicular. And we'll probably leave that one alone for the evening. All right, everyone. That's going to be it from us. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry, I've just unplugged my phone. I can't hear anything going on in the final control. Rebecca, you're going to have to give me more than 30 seconds to get through all I have to say, because you know I don't talk very much. Right, I'm going to firstly say a big thank you to Jeandre for his astounding professionalism. You have no idea the work that this fellow does over here. He really does work very hard. A huge thank you to William the Ascari in the back and his, well, biblically named colleagues who helped us out during the last 4 nights. A massive thank you to Angama Mara for putting up with us. We've got Tyler with us today. He's down in the cockpit here. He's been extremely patient. He's about the same size as Jeandre and Graham, so he's been stuffed into this tiny little cockpit, which was built for somebody my size, and a big thanks to him and his incredible team. If you ever come to this part of the world, that is where you have to stay, because you will be overwhelmed by it. Mostly a huge thank you to all of you, of course. A huge... Shut up, Rebecca, let me speak. This is an emotional time. I'm going to pull you out if you're not careful. And... Big thanks to the Final Control for their efforts, of course, and to the other guides at the Juma. They will also have experiences like this one day. But mostly to all of you for coming along the ride, because without you, of course, coming to these absolutely spectacular places would be utterly impossible. So thank you for coming with us, and we hope to bring you back here sometime soon. Until then, Rebecca, you may now cue the credits. I think she has cued them. Cue them now. Okay, we now have 30 seconds for me to waffle slightly further. So I will say to you again, a big thank you for coming with us, and I hope that you will come back with us at some other stage. Who knows when that will be, but it's been a great pleasure, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.